Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Brenda Lee's podcast. So, in this episode today, we are going to be talking about another topic that is perfect for this year to start off talking about. So, 2026 literally just entered. So, this will be the perfect time to talk about this topic because the year just started. So I'm going to share a couple of ways to start loving yourself more this year. So if you're somebody who feel like you did not love yourself enough last year or the year before that, or maybe just in general, you just haven't been showing that much love to yourself, maybe you've been showing it more to others than you do for yourself, this video is perfectly for you. And you came just in time for it. Okay? So if you feel like this is for you, sit back, relax, listen, take some notes if you feel like you need to, and let's get right into it. Like I said, self-love is always important, but I feel like that should be a very important thing for you all to keep in mind for yourself this year, just because self-love goes a long way. You have to start with loving yourself first before you can look for love from anybody else. I've talked about this before on the podcast channel on Spotify where I discuss the journey of self-love and loving yourself. I talked about it in that episode, and I even shared a story on another girl and another woman who had to go through all these things just to find that love that she needed to have for herself. So that journey and that experience can look and be different for everybody. So if you feel like you need to stop in and listen in on that episode, you definitely can. It's on Spotify. Just search up Brenda Lees on Spotify. Scroll through my episodes and you'll be able to find that episode that I'm talking about. If you feel like you need to listen in on that for some tips and some advice on loving yourself more, definitely feel free to go listen in on that. Otherwise, if you don't feel like that's for you, that's fine as well. All right, so let's get right into it. But before I start saying anything, go grab that notebook and grab a pen or a pencil, whichever you prefer to write with, because you're going to need to take some notes for this. Okay? You're never going to watch my episodes and listen to me talk without taking any important notes. I'm serious. All right, so one of the first tips I want to share as number one is positive affirmations. I always have to throw that out there because positive affirmations will do you best every time. I feel like if you use them enough and use them in the proper way like you're supposed to, you'll see the results that you'll get out of it if you're using them the way they're supposed to be used. I know for me, I usually use positive affirmations every day. And like I said before, they have positive affirmations for different things too. So, positive affirmations can be a balm for a heavy heart. If those feel difficult, neutral self talk is a great first step. Either way, acknowledge yourself exactly as you are. You should always acknowledge yourself for the person that you are, always, because if you don't, nobody else will. Number two, be the adult you always needed. To yourself, tell yourself the words that a younger version of you always needed to hear, even if learning about reparenting, if that's relevant for you, for those that are actually parents. For me, I'm not yet, so that doesn't apply to me. And then three, put your boundaries into words, like I can do that next week, or can you send me a few times that work for you to discuss the further. So back to the be the adult you always needed to be to yourself, which is very important. I feel like everybody could take some advice from that. And I had to repeat that one because that one is really important. I feel like it is important that you become the person that you always wanted to be to yourself. I feel like we always work towards building ourselves to be that person that we want to be to ourselves, because if we don't do it for ourselves, it's not going to get done no other way. So, yeah. Four, learn how to physically process traumas. Yes, that's very, very true. And I feel like that's kind of a hit or miss because it might be really hard for some people to do that depending on how bad their trauma was, because everybody's trauma is different. Some people have it worse than others. So I feel like it may be hard for some people to bear with that and to put that into words and to talk about it. And then maybe for others, it's not. But there's ways to get through it, and there's things you can do that can help you to do that. And then 5, call your experiences what they were and are without sugarcoating, without minimizing them. That's very true. Just keep it real about your experiences. Just keep it real about anything. You don't have to sugarcoat nothing. You don't have to pretend to act like certain things didn't happen in your life, and you don't have to ignore certain things either. And then 6, create a playlist with a hodgepodge of your favorite songs and put it on each morning. That's a good tip, honestly. I have a bunch of playlists in my phone for different things. I have a playlist for when I feel a little down or I feel sad. I have a playlist that's just specifically for happy music that brings happy memories to me, that makes me think of happy times and stuff like that, or just music that just puts a smile on my face. And then I have music that's more so for my chilling and relaxing days where I just want to unwind, clear my head, and just sit back and just give myself time to think things through. I have music that's for different things. If you guys feel as though you need to create a playlist like that for yourself, you definitely should do it. I definitely will highly recommend you to do so because that's always great to do. We all have different music that's for different things, you know, depending on what your mood is. And then 7, mark notable personal days on your calendar and celebrate them in a way that makes you feel good. The first day of your dream job, the last day of a terrible job, the day you spoke up against a toxic person, or the day you learned to salsa dance. So that could be anything. It could be something cute, or it could really just be anything. I know I take notes on everything. I don't really jot stuff down on the calendar, but I do jot stuff down all the time in my journal. I write about every single thing. I write about when I be traveling to places. I write about how my day was. I write about how I was feeling the whole day or different feelings I experienced throughout the day because maybe sometimes your mood changes throughout the day. So I take note on all of that stuff. It's a very important strategy and tip that I had to learn a lot because I feel as though the more you take notes on all these things, the more it just helps you to look back on things that you can self reflect on with yourself. Like, I was at this point in my life during this time and look at where I'm at now, that type of thing. So that's why I always write down all the feelings and thoughts I have. And I write down all the things that are going on in my life, but I never really share those things with people because that's stuff I keep to myself. But that's for me to have to read and to look at anytime when I want to go back and read it or look at it or do some self reflecting. It is there. So I would always recommend anybody to journal. And then another one, number 8, create a list of your all time favorite movies, the ones that made you most nostalgic. And then some of your favorite films and a big bowl of popcorn. You can't go wrong with eating a big bowl of popcorn and watching some of your favorite movies. It could be movies from your childhood, it could be movies that are out right now, whatever it is that you could think of. Honestly, for me, it more so would be childhood movies. Like I know recently when it was the holiday season, I watched The Polar Express. I love that movie. I've watched it probably like about I can't really count with my hands how many times I've watched it, but I know during the holiday season, I watched that movie like 3 or 4 times. I love that movie. It just brings back so many memories for me from when I was a little kid. I remember watching that movie with my siblings when I was younger, watching it the day before Christmas, watching it a little bit after Christmas, and just watching it through the whole month of December because I just love that movie so much. It just brought out like the watching it as an adult, it brings out the inner child out of me. Like it brings out happy memories and all the things I remember from growing up as a kid when it was the holiday season and different things we would do and celebrations we would have. It just brings back so many memories like that for me when I watch movies like that. And it's a couple of other movies I like too, but The Polar Express is like my number one favorite movie to watch when it's Christmas. Like I love that movie. And then 9, similarly, listen to an album that reminds you of a specific time and place in your life. Plug in and listen to the album straight through. Who were you with when you fell in love with that album? Who are you now? Even if you felt stagnant, you'll see growth here. You are growing, you are going in the right direction. Yes. Everybody have that song or some album of a song that you from an artist that you listen to that kind of push you deep into those thoughts where you're constantly thinking about stuff and it just have your mind going. And then 10, if you have children in your life, allow yourself to recognize the things you love about them that they inherited or learned from you. Love it for both of your sakes. That's very true. And that goes for anybody that have children, because it might be people who have children that watch my channel. I don't know. But for those of you that do, that's for you. It doesn't apply to me, but it applies to the ones who do have kids of their own or anybody who do. So yeah. And then 11, create a ritual that celebrates your divinity, whatever that means to you. That's something I need to look into doing. Maybe. 12, embrace empathy for others and release assumptions about them. That this helps you to do that for yourself too. Yes, that's very true, because making up assumptions is really not good to do. That's one thing I hate for anybody to do, is to make up assumptions. Don't do that. Mm-mm. And then admit your success. Your success is openly out loud to others. Yes. What I will say with that is be careful with that. If you're going to open it up to others, make sure you open it up to people that you actually trust sharing it with. Don't just open it up to anybody, because sometimes you could be opening up to somebody who's praying on your downfall, or that's wishing for you to do bad, or that's wishing for you to have less than them. Because sometimes when certain people hear certain things about your success in life, it kind of just makes them like, it may not be every single person, but it will make certain ones kind of get jealous and then be like, oh, well, she had this, but I don't have that. Like, it'll give them something to be jealous of and something to hate on. So that's why I always say be careful about who you share those things with. Don't be too open with everybody about that kind of stuff. And then 13, carry around a poem that is meaningful to you. Revisit in its moments of quiet or in the moments of stress. Yes, that could be any poem. Maybe you write your own. Maybe you know somebody who writes poems that really resonates with you, or whatever the case may be, and you feel something from it and you want to keep it close to your heart, or you want to keep it with you at all times just to have it. You could do that too. 14, thank your body for carrying you through the day, no matter what your body looks like. It is a miraculous and complex thing. You should always love your body no matter what it looks like, what size it is, or how it looks. Love it, embrace it, and just be happy with the way you are and with the way you look. Because like I said, there's some people in life that got it a lot worse. There's some people who don't have certain body parts that they need to have, or that they should have, like how we all do. So just be happy with what you see. And I know that that's not easy for everybody to do, because maybe it's an insecurity thing, or maybe there's other things along the lines that you go through and deal with, to where it does not make that easy for you to accept or to love what you see, or to be happy with what you see. But I promise you, one of these days it'll get better and you'll eventually love what you see. And if you don't, nobody else is going to. It have to start with you first. And honestly, if you're struggling or having a hard time to do that, you have to look into something that you could utilize that could help you to start loving your body. That's a very important thing. I'm not the kind of person to body shame. I never have been, but I know people who did body shame other people that wasn't in the best shape. And it's sad to see people go through that, because that causes people to have insecurities and to start body shaming their own bodies and not loving themselves or loving what they see when they look in the mirror. And it's a very sad thing. All right. 15, do not feel pressure to pick up the phone or to answer the text messages until you are able to do so. You do not exist at others' convenience, and you don't. You do not have to always feel the need to think that, oh, you have to drop and stop everything you're doing just because somebody else has something going on, or just because someone's calling you. Just because somebody calls you don't mean you have to answer the phone right away. If you're busy or you have other things to do, you have other things to go, you have other things that's going on, simply just tell them I'll call you back. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people don't know how to just tell people I'll call you back. They think, oh, just because somebody's calling me or somebody's like trying to reach out to me, I have to stop everything I'm doing to give them my full on attention. No, do what you got to do for yourself first and let them know you'll get back to them another time. They'll just have to be patient and wait. It is what it is. I tell people that all the time. I've never been the type to just be like, oh, I'm going to stop everything I'm doing and just answer the phone. No, they don't have nothing more important going on than I do. So why am I rushing to answer their phone call? No, you can patiently wait for me to reach back out to you. And if not, then it is what it is. That's what you have to do. And then 16, okay, I mentioned that one already about the admit your successes. Okay. 17 is a really good one. Envision yourself physically embracing a tender version of your past self. They have made it to the here and now. Yes. I feel like that's something that everybody needs to do, but I feel like that's also something that could be hard too, is because by so many people not really accepting their past self and accepting what they've done in their past, it may be kind of hard or tricky for some people to do that. But I feel like that's something that you do have to do to a certain point because that's all a part of like growing and, trying to get yourself to be at a better, position and trying to get yourself to be a better you and all of the things that comes with that. So I feel like you do have to learn to embrace who you were in your past, even if you were really unhappy with yourself or you were unhappy with what you were doing, you still have to just be happy with it either way. Just know that that was then, that's not now. 18, learn a craft that uses your hands. Oh my gosh, that is so me. I don't have to learn any craft because all the crafts that's out here, I pretty much am aware of all of them. I do crafting stuff all the time. If you guys don't know about my crafting channel, you need to go check it out. It's Brenda DIY Studio. Go look it up, search it up on YouTube. You'll be able to find it. I have a bunch of crafting videos on there that I do, all types of stuff that I make, including YouTube shorts too. I also do diamond art paintings as well. I do anything that relates to crafting, anything that involves using your hands. I do all of that. I make all types of stuff. I literally recycle cardboard and make stuff out of cardboard that I recycle. So instead of getting rid of the cardboard, I just reuse it to make stuff out of it. And I've been doing that since forever. So that's what I do as a hobby because that's why I enjoy it. That's what I like to do. That's what brings me happiness. And I feel like that just brings out the best in me because I'm just so creative like that. So I try to use my creativity that I have in me towards different stuff. And I mostly use it the most for when I'm crafting. That's where my most creativity comes from. So yeah, you could learn a craft that uses your hands, like ceramics or crochet. I honestly want to learn how to do that. That's one thing that I probably could say that relates to crafting that I don't know how to do. But yeah, when I get there and I start learning the steps to learning how to do that, I'm going to have to make sure I show you guys on the crafting channel because that is something I really do want to learn how to do. I've been saying for the longest time I want to learn how to do that. I'm going to also make that be a goal for this year as well, is to learn how to crochet. I wish I knew somebody who knew how to do it that could show me because I do not know how to do that at all. I feel like it's similar to sewing, but it's also a little bit different too, maybe. Or maybe they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. I don't know because I don't know until I actually do it, but I know I do want to learn how to do that because I think it's really, really cool. And I follow a lot of different people on social media that also craft and make different things and use their hands a lot when they make stuff. And I literally be watching videos of people that be making different stuff out of crocheting, and it's really cool. Like, I want to learn how to do that. And freely create without a pattern or a guide. Let your hands go where they want to go and reach for colors and textures that catch your eye. Yes, that's the best part about crafting, is that you get to create your own craft using your own ideas, your own skills. It's so cool. All right, 19. Develop a set of personal policies that help you establish boundaries, such as not responding to every email, only answering phone calls during certain hours, and only accepting social invites from people who energize you and build you up. That's very true, and that's a very important thing to keep in mind. 20. Practice manifestation. That's always a must. 21. Determine how you best cope, de-stress, and restore yourself. Can you track it? Can you celebrate it? Can you do it more often? I feel like we all could do it more often, honestly. Sometimes I feel like I don't do it enough, and then there are other times where I feel like I do it when it's needed, which is important. And then it is really important to find ways that are best for you to cope with stuff because sometimes we don't cope with things in the best way. We may think in our mind that we are, but sometimes the way we go about coping with certain things really don't be the best. Sometimes it's always a better way to do it. So I would say if you find yourself not really coping with something in the best way, you should find a better way. Find something that you could utilize that will help you to cope with whatever it is in a better way than you are, because that'll just do you best. I would hate for anybody to cope with something that's not really helping them or that's not really making anything better or different for you, you know? 22, examine your daily routine. Is there anywhere you're forcing yourself to suffer that you have the capability to change? This can be a pair of uncomfortable shoes, a non essential and stressful social interaction, or skipping breakfast you do not have to suffer at your own hand. You never do. And honestly, do not put yourself in a situation where you're making yourself feel like you have to suffer. Do not do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself this year. Don't do it to yourself, because I know it's probably somebody or some people that do that. Don't do that. That's not good. Honestly, it really have to start with you letting go of the suffering or anything that you feel as though is making you suffer and you carrying from generations before you, because that's really not healthy. And I feel like if you're doing it, you're going to carry that on to another generation. The cycle is going to continue and it's going to become a very unhealthy thing and a very bad habit and an unhealthy habit at that. And that's not good. All right, 24. So the one I just mentioned about the suffering, that was 23. 24, set up an online presence, whether a blog, portfolio, newsletter, or social media account, to showcase who you are and how you perceive your everyday feed. Feed it, but don't let it consume you. Share your perspective with the world. We want to hear it. That's always a good thing to do. I feel like anybody could look into doing that. It doesn't matter how you do it or what you choose to utilize to do it. Just look into something that you feel as though you could start doing to share with the world who you are, share your ideas, share whatever comes to mind. You never know how much of a change you can make to other people's lives or to another person out there when you start putting yourself out there more and really letting people get to know who you are, or allowing people to get that chance to know who you are as a person. And maybe that could be a part of the reason why a lot of people may feel like sometimes people don't really know them like that, because they don't put themselves out there enough for people to actually get to know them. So if you put yourself out there enough and you allow people to get to know you, you allow people to be around you, really, feed into you and stuff, you will create a really good and very social, I want to say support system, and people who support you, that's willing to talk to you, have little different conversations with you, and y'all are able to have different little interactions. You're able to meet different people that you build up little interactions with. And it'll just help you to be more social and to be more open, to where you're conversating more, you're talking more, you're having more conversations with people, that kind of stuff. So that's a good thing to do. I feel like anybody could definitely do that, but it all starts with you. You just can't be shy. You can't be nervous. You can't be afraid. You have to just be willing to just say, I'm going to give it a try and I'm just going to give it a go and I'm just going to do it. This could be your year to do that. If you're somebody who feel like you've been holding back for too long, you've been refusing to do a lot of things that you could have done or you could have been started to do it now. Do it now. Like I said, it ain't just going to be my year. It can be your year too. So do whatever you got to do to put yourself out there. It's never too late. All right, I'm going to share one more, which is going to be 25. So remember, there is no scarcity. If someone else deserves love, it doesn't mean that we are less worthy of that same love. That's very true. I always say that everybody deserves love, no matter who the person is. Don't think that just because somebody else have all the love in the world that means that you don't deserve that same love or you're not supposed to have that same love as somebody else, because you do. And you will. I feel like that happens and comes in life for everybody. Like that's something you can't rush. That's something that comes with time. You have to just have patience and be patient. It's never a good thing to rush into anything. Just take your time. You never know. This year may bring you the love of your life. You don't know. You don't know what the year have in store for you yet because it just started. A lot of people, sometimes you could tell them these things and they'll be like, no, they'll kind of just brush it off and just ignore it. or say like, oh, it ain't no way that I'm going to find the love of my life this year. It ain't no way I'm going to find somebody, but you don't know that. Something is telling me that this year is going to be my year where a lot of good things are going to come to me because I've been waiting on it and praying on it for so long. That's what I feel and know for sure that I'm going to get out of this year. I'm going into this year with a positive mind. And I'm going to keep speaking all the positive things into existence until they arrive to me. I'm going to continue to do that until I can't anymore. And that's the same energy and attitude you guys have to have. A lot of things really do start with the mindset and the attitude you have. If you go into things with the wrong type of attitude and mindset, you can't really expect nothing good out of it if you're not going into it with the right headspace or the right mindset. So be aware of how you're thinking about things. Be aware of how you are praying for these things when you're praying for these things with God or whoever it is, or with your family. Maybe you pray with your family. Maybe you pray with a loved one, with a partner. It doesn't really matter. But we got to start having a more positive mindset. I'm telling you, a positive mindset will do you best more than anything because, like I said, you have to go into a lot of things with the right mindset. Sometimes we expect good outcomes of stuff, but we don't be having the right mindset when we're doing these things. And then when things don't turn out the way we want them to, we be shocked and we be surprised, like, why did this happen like that? Or why did that happen like this? Think about the kind of mindset you had going into the circumstance or the situation. Did you have the right mindset? Was your mindset right? Sometimes you don't be in the right mind when there's certain stuff going on. You just don't. Maybe it's just a lot that's happening, or maybe there's a lot to take in, or there's a lot happening at one time and it's just too much to handle in that moment. So you don't really find yourself in the right headspace. Sometimes in certain situations, when certain things are happening and going on, you're not going to be in the right headspace. But you got to push yourself to be in the right headspace. You have to make sure your mind is in the right place. You have to make sure your mind is where it needs to be at. And if you have your mind set on exactly what it is you want out of this year, or what you want this year to bring you, or what you want to do for this year for yourself, or whoever, do it. Do it and don't let nothing hold you back. And I promise you, before you know it, you'll be exactly where you need to be at. And there will be nothing to worry about. Just keep praying, keep manifesting, just keep doing all those things, and a lot of stuff will fall through for you. I promise each and every one of you, it will fall through for you. You just have to be positive. You have to keep that positive mindset flowing. Also, help others to be positive too if you see others are not being positive, because that's always a great thing to do. Be careful about how you do that though, because sometimes you don't always get the best things out of people by trying to do that. But yeah, just keep doing those things and you'll be great. This year have a lot in store for each of us, and I feel like this year is going to bring something great to a lot of us that we deserve, that we worked hard for. So yeah, that's all I have to say for this episode today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.